Hello and welcome to the BLT System. My name is Dr. John Larson. I'm the creator of the BLT System. And if you are brand new to the BLT System, this is the best video for you to be watching. I'm going to go through a basic introduction of all the important features and aspects of the BLT System and how this might be of benefit to you. So the BLT System is designed for use by many different kinds of healthcare providers to include chiropractic doctors, naturopathic doctors, acupuncture doctors and acupuncturists, health coaches, nutritionists, dietitians, as well as other medical providers of different licenses or different degrees. So it's a very user-friendly system. The whole goal of the BLT System is to make it very easy for any healthcare provider to incorporate a functional blood lab testing service into the care of their patients or clients. So with the BLT System, there's really kind of two sides or two aspects of this particular program. One of them is a very easy and inexpensive way for you as a healthcare provider to order and get the lab testing done on your patient or client. The other side is the feature of the software that allows you to take those lab results, you input them into a software to create a nice looking lab report that will do that more critical or functional interpretation of the lab results so that you can have that for your own analysis to be able to interpret those results and create recommendations for your patient or client. But also the report is designed as a nice looking report that you can give to your patient or client as well. So let's start with this aspect or this newest feature, which is what's called the wholesale blood lab testing service, because you have to have an easy way to order the lab testing on your patient or client before you can create the report and do the interpretation. So where I'm at right now is the main website called bltsystem.com, and from this website you have a couple buttons. One says here order lab tests, the other is the big orange button that you can't miss. It says click here to order lab tests through the BLT System Wholesale Blood Lab Testing Service. I'm just going to click on that. This then takes you to a different web page which is dedicated towards allowing you, or in reality it could even be a page that you send your patient or client to where they can order on themselves the lab tests that you as a provider want to see done on them. So as you can see, as you come to this web page for the Wholesale Blood Lab Testing Service, it's set up where it's very easy for either you as a provider, if you are ordering the lab tests on your patient or client, or maybe you have a staff person that's doing that. Very simple to do that. But it's also designed in a way where, in order to save you time, you can actually direct your patient or client to this web page or to this part of the website, where all you have to do is instruct your patient or client on the tests that you want to see done on them. They go in themselves as the patient or client to order the testing. They go ahead and pay for their testing online at some of the lowest cost, the lowest pricing that they would find anywhere. And once they're done paying for their lab testing, once the patient has paid for their lab testing, everything is taken care of for you as a healthcare provider. The patient will automatically receive the lab requisition or the lab orders. They'll receive the instructions they need to get the lab testing done, and once they get their blood drawn, the lab results come in. Those lab results will just show up in your email letting you know that they're ready for you to download, and they arrive to you through a secure HIPAA compliant document sharing service that we use to keep everything, all the privacy is held, of course, in terms of that patient's information. So when you go in to order lab testing on your patient or client, whether you as a provider are doing this yourself or if you have any staff people that work for you, it's very easy to delegate this task to them because it's a very simple process to order the testing. Or maybe you're going to keep this even simple and even easier on yourself, and you're just going to direct your patient or client to the website and give them a list of the names of the tests that you want to see done. So most often, when I'm first initially doing lab testing on a new patient or client, I'm most often doing what's called the comprehensive lab testing panel. So I'm just going to select this one. It already shows here on the very first page. But if you have certain lab tests or individual lab tests that you're looking for, you just go up into the search bar here. You go ahead and type in the name of the lab test to search that way. If you as a provider, if you do not see a lab test that you're looking for that you want to order, all you have to do is simply send me an email, and usually within a day's time I can get that added on if it's not already part of the testing that you can find in here. You can also see through the categories. It's broken down into different categories is another way to search for that. So, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose one of the most common tests that I myself and the providers that I work with and help and teach will do as a starting point for most of their patients or clients as an initial investigation. So I'm going to choose this comprehensive lab panel. I'm going to click on the buy button. And you see when doing that, it shows up here the one item that's in basically what's called the shopping cart of the website. Let's say that that's all that I want to choose. So I'm going to click on View Cart Now. Shows up here. You see there is a small processing fee. So the lab testing is offered at some of the lowest possible wholesale cost, but there is a small processing fee, which even with that they are almost always saving quite a bit of money compared to other methods of doing lab testing, whether it's through their local medical clinic or going through other lab testing services as well. So this is how simple it is. We've selected the test that we want to have done. Let's say the patient is just doing this on themselves because you directed them of the test that you want to see done on them. So then all the patient does is under billing information, they enter in their first name, last name, they enter in all their contact information, they enter in their payment information, they put in their date of birth, whether they're male or female. They indicate here would usually be the patient's email address for where the lab orders will go to. Here you will usually instruct your patient to enter in your email address, so when the lab results come in, the lab results will go to you as a provider and not to your patient or client. And it's just nice to actually have your name as the provider name in there. They simply submit the order. Again, everything is taken care of as far as the creation of the lab orders or the lab requisition. The patient or the client will receive that automatically. They will also receive the instructions they need for where to go and what to do prior to getting the lab testing done. And then once they get the blood drawn, the lab results come in, and the lab results will go to the email address that is shown in this field here, which should be your email address as a healthcare provider. So basically everything is taken care of behind the scenes without you really having to think about it too much. And really it's one of the easiest ways that I know of for you as a healthcare provider to get the testing done. So both as a provider that has a license in your state that allows you to order lab testing, this still ends up being easier, but there are plenty of providers that their license or certification doesn't allow them to directly order lab testing, but that certainly doesn't prevent your patient or client from being able to order the lab testing that they would want to order on themselves, which would be the ones that you would direct them that you want to see done on them basically. So it really removes a lot of the barriers. It makes it probably one of the easiest and least expensive ways for you as a provider to get lab testing done on your patient or client. So now we're going to go into the other side or the other aspect of the BLT system. So starting from the BLTsystem.com, so let's say I've received the lab results on my patient or client and I want to go into the side of the software that allows me to create the lab report. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into an example account here. And then once I've logged in, you're always taken to this page called the control panel. When I go to enter lab results, I just click on this button here that says enter lab results. You have your sheet of lab results. You'll receive them electronically as a PDF file, and either you or a staff person can easily enter these in. It's really a very, very simple data entry. So simple you can easily delegate this to someone else if you have other staff that works within your clinic or office or facility. Just takes a few minutes to enter in those lab results. A future version of the BLT system will be one in which you'll simply be able to click a button and it will automatically download or populate those lab results into the correct field to make it even faster. But even providers that have never created a lab report or done lab testing, they find that even if they have to manually enter in the lab results or the numbers, that it's actually quite simple. So I think really the better place to go at this point is just to show you an example of what the end product looks like for a lab result that gets created by the BLT system. So here you can see an example lab report where it shows the wording example lab report. That's where the patient or the client's name will actually show in that area. This first page is what we call a cover page, and on the cover page you can customize this So it shows your provider or clinic contact information, however you want it to look. Also, you have the ability to have a logo or some kind of image. It really can be any kind of image that you want to that will also appear on the cover page. And it's really on the second page where we start seeing the actual lab results. And so in this example I'm showing you, it is for the comprehensive lab panel that we just showed before in terms of how you order that. The format of this, as you can see, the first column is the name of the lab test. The second column is that patient or client's result for the lab test. And the rest of this, the way I explain it to a patient is essentially it's color-coded like a stoplight. So green means go, green's the best, green is in the optimal, which is where you want to be. Yellow, you can think of that as being kind of a caution in that it's starting to move in the wrong direction. And sometimes we'll take action on that, sometimes we don't. Sometimes just kind of depends on what the result is and everything else that's going on. Anything that's in the red, which we don't see on the first page, but I'll skip down to the second page. We see on the second page that there are actually quite a few that are in the red on this example. I'll say to the patient, you can think of red as being kind of like the red flag or the danger zone. These are the ones that we pay the closest attention to and we're most likely to take action on. Not in all cases, but in most cases, we're most concerned about the ones that are in the red. So what makes the BLT system and this software for creating the lab report, I think, unique compared to other lab reporting softwares is the level of flexibility or the level of control that it gives you to edit pretty much all the information that you see that shows up within the report. So what that means is you can easily add or subtract lab tests in here. You can rearrange the order to be whatever order that you want them to be. The reference ranges that you see here can easily be edited by you as a provider within your own account. So that way the reference ranges will always be exactly what you want them to be. So let's say, for example, you felt for serum glucose, the optimal range should be 80 to 90. Well, you can easily go into your own individual account within the BLT system. You reset that to the range of whatever you want it to be, and it remains that way every time you go in and use the software. Also, once we get past the first 2 or 3 pages, which shows the color-coded guide to that patient's lab results, then we get into the actual lab explanations. And you'll see this report, actually, this particular example, it's actually 27 pages long. That's because the bulk of the report, most of the middle part of the report, are these well-written, detailed explanations which are going to save you as a provider a lot of time by not having to go into so much detail when you explain the results to your patient or client. But also, if you are newer to the process of doing functional blood lab testing, it's also going to be a way for you to educate yourself very, very quickly on what these lab results mean. So for example, for serum glucose, in this example, the result is in the optimal. So depending on the range or where the patient falls in, so let me just skip back and I'll show you what I mean here. So basically for glucose, there are 5 different possibilities for ranges that they can be in. So whatever range that patient or client falls in this case it's the optimal, then the explanation for optimal will show up in the report. And so basically for every lab test there's up to 5 different lab explanations. So in this case it's optimal, so the paragraph explanation for optimal is what will automatically appear into the report here. These paragraph explanations, I purposely created them to be in more what I call a conversational language, which means that they're not overly technical, and most people can read this explanation and understand most, if not all of it, and get a lot of good information out of it. But at the same time, it's written well enough and with enough detail that if you as a provider, if you're fairly new or maybe brand new to doing this more critical or functional blood lab testing, it's also going to be one of the fastest ways for you to educate yourself and get yourself up to speed on what these different lab tests, what they mean, and how to interpret that, and if there's something that you want to recommend to them, both with diet and nutrition, based on that lab result. So that's the bulk of the middle part of this report. And then the very last page is called the Therapeutic Nutrition Schedule. So I chose a template for this example that doesn't recommend any product, so that is an option. But basically, you'll see once you go into the software, you can choose templates from different nutrition companies that will automatically recommend the name of a product and automatically populate into this therapeutic nutrition schedule the name and the recommended dose of that product. So basically, the whole idea of using a software like this is to save you as a provider time in the interpretation of the lab results, to save you time in creating recommendations, to save you time when it comes to explaining the lab results. It's all about saving you time and making the whole process much, much faster. And in doing so, it makes it a lot more fun and allows you to be very, very specific to each individual in terms of what their body chemistry needs based on those lab results. Also, on the therapeutic nutrition schedule, there is a section here for a particular lab result or a particular product, there's some extra instructions. There's a way to add some special instructions to make sure that the same information gets to your patients, that you want to make sure they know about a product or a lab result as well. So now we're back into the control panel. And so what you want to know is, after you've registered or created a new BLT System account, you're automatically given 5 free credits. And this allows you to try it out several times to make sure that you like it and it's working well for you before you'd have to actually pay for any use of the whole BLT system. Once you've used up those 5 free credits, you can actually get more free credits. If you were to refer another healthcare provider to the BLT system when they create their new account, if they select you as the person that referred them, then you get 5 more free credits as a way of saying thank you. But let's say you run out of credits, you click here to purchase more credits. So basically, you use 1 credit when you create 1 lab report, and 1 credit, the fee for 1 credit is $10. And so it's important to know that this is the only fee associated with using the BLT system for the software and that creates the lab reports. There is no purchasing of a software for you to have it on your computer, because you just access this over the internet. There is no monthly support fees, there's no upgrade fees, there's no other fees associated with this other than the $10 per credit to create a lab report, and then 1 credit creates 1 report. So I felt this was the most fair and the most simple way of doing this, because in doing it this way, you're only paying for use of a software to create a lab report when you then know that you're going to be getting paid by your patient or client for providing that service. Also, another important thing to know, another important feature is called the lab test reminder feature. So when you are entering in lab results to create the report, towards the bottom here you enter in a date of when you recommend that a retest should be done for that patient or client. The date you enter here will then feed into this other portion of this other feature of the BLT system, where basically you as a provider and your clinic or office will receive a reminder email once a week. It's usually on Monday morning. You'll receive a reminder email that will tell you who are the patients or clients over the next week who are due for a retest of their lab testing. But even better, if you also enter the patient's email address in here, whatever date you entered in, that patient will also receive a reminder email basically saying to them that now is the time when we want to look at redoing your lab testing, or basically at the time when we want to set up or make the arrangements for you to redo your lab testing. This lab test reminder feature might seem like a rather simple thing, but I can tell you from experience it's made a huge difference on making sure that my own patients get the follow-up testing that they need to keep them on track, so they keep getting better and better. So it's a very simple but very important feature that you're not going to find with a lot of other lab testing softwares. So at this point, where do you go from here? So if you're interested in exploring more of what the BLT system has to offer to be able to help you as a healthcare provider in terms of ordering lab testing, or in looking at creating lab reports that do that more critical or functional interpretation of the lab results, all you need to do is go to bltsystem.com/register, and then once you get to that web page, then you'll see you have to fill in the information to basically register or create a new BLT system account. There is no fee to create a new account. Anybody can do it. And once you've completed the registration for a new account, then you will still have to activate your account. So you'll receive an email, and basically an activation email to verify your email address and activate your account. And once you've done that, you log in for the first time. You'll be taken to the control panel, and from there one of the first things you want to do is watch this video called How Do I Get Started with My Account? This is a 15-minute video that will take you through all the different steps to make sure that you have your account properly set up. And then from there, there'll be a series of training videos that you'll have access to that are free for you to be able to watch them whenever you want to, that will walk you through in much more detail. It will walk you through all the different parts of the BLT system. So this basically is the same training seminar. It's a full day training seminar that I normally do in person. I have broken this down into a series of shorter videos so you access this. So above this video you have this part here of to watch the videos. Click here. That will take you to a new page where you can watch these basic training videos. There will also be some other videos there. And then there's a documents and resources page, which I'll tell you in the training when you want to go to that and look at some different documents to be able to download and use them within your own practice as well. So I hope you found this video introduction helpful. If you have any questions, you can always contact me. If you go from this page, if you click on the Contact Us button, here you'll see my phone number and email. Please feel free to call me or email me anytime. I'd be very happy to spend some more time to answer any questions that you have. And I look forward to you creating a new account in the BLT system and look forward to doing whatever I can to help you out. Thank you.